GUSTOSO कंपनी इसे ethics के ऊपर समय discuss the ethical and accounting implications of the above situation from the perspective of an accountant. GUSTOSO Company is a public limited company which produces a range of luxury Italian food products which are sold to restaurants, shops, and supermarkets. It prepares its financial statements in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards. The directors of GUSTOSO Company receive a cash bonus each year if the report profits for the period exceed the predetermined target. तो यहीं पर एक थ्रेड मिल जाता है कि at the beginning of the question itself, they have actually ऐसा नहीं लिखते. They have, we can say that the directors of Gustoso company receive a cash bonus each year if the report profits for the period exceed the predetermined target. Therefore, there is a self-interest thread between the directors, and thus this self-interest might influence the directors' intentions. That is, they would be motivated to increase the reported profits so that they can get their cash bonus. For this, there can be manipulations. They can conduct manipulations in the financial statements, and uh, thus this cash bonus might affect the financial statements of the company. फिर Gush also has performed in excess of the targets in the year ended 31st of December 2017, but financial forecasts for 2018 are pessimistic. Provisions. A new accountant has recently started working in GUSTOSO company. The accountant noticed that the provisions balance as at 31st of December 17 is significantly higher than the prior year. एक मिनट, सबसे पहली बात तो गस्टोसो कंपनी का एक न्यू अकाउंटेंट है. द न्यू अकाउंटेंट इज expected to follow the ACCA code of actually is expected to follow the ethics principles, the basic ethics principles, which includes integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and due care, कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी एंड प्रोफेशनल बिहेवियर. अच्छा, ऊपर वाले पॉइंट में डायरेक्टर्स के अपन ये भी बोल सकते हैं कि इफ द डायरेक्टर्स मैनिपुलेट द कैश दे if the directors manipulate the profits and manipulate the profits in order to show that they have exceeded the predetermined target, then that means they are cheating with the or they are manipulating with the investors or showcasting a better financial position towards the investors, and thus a question raises on their integrity and objectivity, as they are believed to work in the best interest of the company as a whole. ये पॉइंट मतलब अपना आंसर बड़ा बड़ा बनता जाता है ऐसा. अभी द अकाउंटेंट नोटिस दैट द प्रोविजंस बैलेंस एज एट 31st ऑफ December 17 इज सिग्निफिकेंटली हायर देन द प्रायर. मतलब पहले साल में प्रोविजन कम था, अभी के समय में प्रोविजन ज्यादा हो गया है. द अकाउंटेंट मेड इंक्वायरीज टू द फाइनेंस डायरेक्टर हु एक्सप्लेन दैट द इंक्रीज वाज ड्यू टू सब्सटेंशियल चेंज इन द फूड सेफ्टी एंड हाइजीन लॉज which became effective during 2018. As a result, GUSTOSO company must retrain a large portion of its workforce. This retraining has yet to occur, so provision has been recognized for estimated cost of 2 million. सबसे पहली बात तो in accordance with IAS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets, a provision is recognized जब वो तीन criteria fulfill होते हैं, which are provision is recognized when there is a present obligation as a result of past event, there is a probable outflow of economic resources that is supposed to take place, and last May a reliable estimate can be made about the amount of outflow that is going to take place. IS 37 actually एक minute, provision is either legal or constructive. A provision has to be either a legal provision or a constructive obligation, legal obligation or a constructive obligation. उसके बाद in IS 37 blah 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 prohibits the recognition of provision for retraining of staff, and thus this is an incorrect accounting treatment that Gutso company has performed or the financial director has performed for Gutso company, that the retraining has been recognized as a provision or retraining has been recognized as a provision. The finance director then told the accountant that such inquiries they were a waste of time and would not be looked at favorably when deciding the accountant's future pay rise and bonuses. So this is clearly an intimidation threat that has been tried to imply on the accountant, that they have said that if the accountant asks further inquiries, then then they will not pay their, or will not be looked at favorably, be deciding the account's future pay rise and bonuses. The accountant should not get intimidated, and should report, or should still inquire about the findings to the other directors. The other directors, uh, if the other directors are not, responding well, or have the same intentions of as that of the other, or as that of the finance director, then the accountant can seek help from the audit committee if possible and if available. This is clearly an indication that the finance director is trying to create a provision for a clear cost, for an expenditure that can be clearly determined as a cost and would be reduced from the profit figure. Thus, we can say that because of this provision being recognized, the figure has been overstated by 2 million. तो ये इतना सब अपन बोल देंगे, इस पैराग्राफ से अपने को बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स मिल गए. Additionally, in November 17, the board of directors discussed a potential restructure of GUSTOSO company. The restructuring plan included an analysis of long-term cost saving, but should the restructure take place, there will be significant short-term costs which would be incurred. These costs included professional fees, penalties of cancelling leases, and also redundancy cost for a number of employees. Even if the restructure did not take place exactly as planned, alternative plans will need to be explored to ensure Gustoso company remains a going concern. The finance director has therefore included a restructuring provision, arguing that it is prudent. A final decision and announcement to the staff and the lessors are likely to be made prior to the authorization of the financial statements, which is expected in April 18. A provision can be recognized when we look at the second scenario, where the board of directors discuss a potential restructure for the Gustoso company. Restructuring costs can be categorized as a provision if and only if the it is a proper plan, and the evidence of that plan has been properly recorded, or has been properly been shown in the prior years. If there is not a proper plan that is in place, and a reliable estimate of the cost that have been required for the professional fees, penalties, and blah blah blah, then मतलब ये वाला लाइन, मतलब ये वाला लाइन, प्रोफेशनल फीस, कैंसिलिंग लीजेस, ये सब वो सब, तो ये जो लाइन है इसके लिए एक प्रॉपर प्लान होना चाहिए, एक रिलायबल एस्टिमेट होना चाहिए कॉस्ट का. अगर वो है तो ही वी कैन रीस्ट्रक्चर, वरना और एल्स, as it has been said by the finance director, that if restructure did not take place, then alternative plans need to be explored. Then those alternative plans need to be closely assessed, whether a provision is required or not. And thus a provision will not be made if there is not a properly structured plan in place before the reporting date. ये अपन बोल देंगे. We can see that a final decision will be made to the announcement to staff lessors. वो एकदम बाद में हो रहा है, prior to authorization, मतलब authorization के just पहले हो रहा है, so which is wrong. तो इसलिए we cannot create a provision here. Authorization के पहले वो announcement हो रहा है, हाँ, this is wrong because वो actually reporting या वो year end के पहले होना चाहिए ऐसा, at least वो announcement. इतना हो गया. Wheat contract. Gustoso company purchases significant quantities of wheat for use in its bread and pasta products. These are high value products on which Gustoso company records significant profit margins. These are high value products. ठीक है. Nonetheless, the price of the wheat is volatile, and so on 1st of November 17, Gustoso company entered into a contract with a supplier to purchase 5 lakh bushels of wheat in June 18 for $5 a bushel. ठीक है. The contract can be settled net in cash. GUSTOSO company has entered into similar contracts in the past and has always taken the delivery of the wheat. By 31st of December 17, the price of the wheat had fallen. The finance director recorded a derivative liability of 0.5 million on the statement of financial position and a loss of 0.5 million in the statement of profit or loss. Wheat prices may rise again before June 18. The accountant is unsure if the current accounting treatment is correct, but feels uncomfortable approaching the finance director again. पहली बात तो he is feeling uncomfortable because of the fact that वो फाइनेंस डायरेक्टर ने उसको बोला कि इट इज अ वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, तो वो वाला पॉइंट्स और तीन चार लाइंस और वो लिख देंगे. Now, according to IFRS 9, financial instruments are a derivative is an instrument that has the following characteristics. एक तो it is highly volatile and the mark and the value keeps on changing. It is settled in the future and the initial investment is very low of that derivative liability or even nil at times. A derivative liability is measured through fair value is measured at fair value through profit and loss unless it is a hedging instrument. So at the end of every reporting period, there will be a fair value of the derivative liability and the gain or loss will be recorded in the profit or loss. So उसके बाद एक्चुअली मेरे को ये समझा गया था कैसे ये टेकन डिलीवरी. सो व्हेन एक मिनट ना. A derivative liability is always created where necessary, but where the products are for entity's own use. तो जहां पर कंपनी खुद के पर्सनल कामों के लिए डेरिवेटिव लायबिलिटी क्रिएट करती है, in these situations IFRS 9 won't apply and derivative liability is not created. Such contracts can be identified where the entity takes delivery for their takes the delivery for the product. मतलब अभी यहाँ पर कैसे हो रहा था कि एंटिटी अपने खुद के काम के लिए वो चीज ले रही है, इसलिए वो चीज को अपन डेरिवेटिव लायबिलिटी नहीं बोल सकते. So such contracts are known as executory contracts, and executory contracts are not recorded in accordance with IFRS 9 financial instruments unless they are onerous contracts. Onerous contracts के टाइम पे हम लोग प्रोविजन क्रिएट करते हैं. Now, what happened in this case was that उन्होंने एक डेरिवेटिव लायबिलिटी शो कर दी 0.5 मिलियन की, जहां पर एक्चुअली लाइक वो लोग वो एक्चुअली उनका पर्सनल काम है, देखोगे तो, है ना, एंटिटी का. तो इसके लिए उन लोग को डेरिवेटिव लायबिलिटी नहीं क्रिएट करनी चाहिए थी, तो उन्होंने क्रिएट की है. सो दैट इज रॉन्ग ट्रीटमेंट. तो एक बार उनका चेक कर लेते हैं आंसर, वेदर वी व्हाटएवर वी हैव सेड इज राइट और रॉन्ग. देखो पहली बात तो इनकम टैक्सेस से उन्होंने शुरुआत की है. हाँ, इस आंसर का एंडिंग कुछ इस तरीके से कर सकते हैं दैट the the accountant should seek help from the finance director and other directors where necessary. If the directors are not responding well, then the accountant can seek help from the ACC helpline. And if the issues are still not resolved, then the accountant should simply take the decision of resignation. तो ये एक स्टैंडर्ड तरीका होता है आंसर एंड करने का एथिक्स का. तो ये मैंने खाली अपने इधर मैंने चेप दिया है वो वाली वो तीन चार लाइंस. अभी according to IAS 12, income tax is an entity should recognize a deferred tax asset in the respect of carrying forward. Wait. This is C D. मैं कौन सा कर रहा था? हाँ, GUSTOSO ये रहा. Sorry. IAS 37 provision contingent liabilities and contingent assets states that a provision should be recognized if there is a present obligation from a past event. An outflow of economic resources is probable and the obligation can be measured reliably. ये तीन अपन ने भी मतलब बोले थे बहुत सही points. No provision should be recognized because GUSTOSO does not have an obligation to incur training cost. The expenditure can be avoided by changing the nature of GUSTOSO company's operations, and so it has no present obligation for the future expenditure. अपन ये बराबर बोला था. Provision should be de-recognized. This will reduce the liabilities by 2 million and increase the profits by the same amount. The provision for restructuring should be recognized in the financial statements. एक मिनट. Provision should be de-recognized. बराबर, this will reduce the liabilities. हाँ बराबर, and increase the profits, correct. The a provision for restructuring cost should only be recognized in the financial statements if GUSTOSO company where all of the above criteria are met. एक्चुअली जब मैंने आई थिंक ये आंसर बोला था तो मैंने बोला था कि प्रॉफिट्स ओवरस्टेट हो गए हैं, तो बिकॉज ऑफ लायबिलिटी वो अंडरस्टेट हो जाएंगे। ये चीज मैंने बोली थी। लेकिन फिर भी रीट्रेनिंग कॉस्ट आई डोंट थिंक सो प्रॉफिट बढ़ा सकता है, बिकॉज सी अगर हमने प्रोविजन 2 मिलियन का रखा हुआ है तो हमने वहां पे पीएल में एंट्री मारी होगी, बट देन वी हैव टू अगेन इनकर दैट कॉस्ट नो ऑफ रीट्रेनिंग, तो वो पीएनएल में ही दिखेगी। सो आई डोंट थिंक इट कैन एक्चुअली अफेक्ट द पीएनएल दैट मच। Provision for restructuring costs should only be recognized if the financial statements of Gustoso where all of the above criteria are met. However, for restructuring provision to be recognized, there are additional requirements per standard. A constructive obligation for restructuring only exists when the detailed formal plan exists and a valid expectation to those affected by restructuring that it will take place as incurred. Although the board meeting happened in November 2017, Gustoso does not appear committed as other plans are being explored. It is unlikely, therefore, that the plan is detailed and specific enough for these criteria to be satisfied. In the case of restructuring provision, this should only this should only include direct expenditure arising from the restructuring and not associated with ongoing activities. Hence, the leasing cost would not be included as a in a restructuring provision. तो लीजिंग कॉस्ट नहीं आता restructuring में, क्योंकि वो अपने ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट का एक हिस्सा होता है। However, if the decision is made to exit from the leases, it is likely that they could meet the requirements of an onerous lease contract in 2018 financial statements. Gustoso should therefore look to IFRS 16 leases and carry out an impairment review of the right of use held under the lease contract, applying the requirements of IAS 36 impairment of assets. As no announcement has been made to staff or lessors at the reporting date, there is no obligation existence at 31st of December 17. ये देखो. So no provision can be recognized for other costs, professional fees and वो redundancy cost. Leasing cost तो आएगा ही नहीं. IFRS 36 के उन्होंने क्यों डाला I don't know, but यहाँ तक लिखेंगे तो भी चलेगा. Answer. The leasing contracts are part of operating contracts and they should not be included in the restructuring provision. And no provision can be recognized for other costs, professional fees, and redundancy costs. However, the finance director has indicated that a final decision on the restructuring and announcement is likely to take place before the financial statements are authorized in April 18. If this constitutes a material event arising after the reporting date, it should be treated as a non-adjusting event. Gustoso should disclose the nature of restructuring cost and estimate of its financial effect. तो ये अपन बोल सकते हैं यहाँ तक। ठीक है, अगर वो मटेरियल इवेंट होगा तो अपन खाली उसको नॉन एडजस्टिंग इवेंट, तो उसको खाली एक बार डिस्क्लोजर दे देंगे, बट नॉट टू क्रिएट अ प्रोविजन फॉर दैट। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट IFRS 9 financial instrument applies to contracts to buy or sell a non-financial item which are settled net in cash. Such contracts are usually accounted for as derivatives. However, contracts which are for an entity's own use of a non-financial asset are exempt from the requirements of IFRS 9. Contract will qualify as own use because Gustoso always takes वो delivery of the wheat, तो इसलिए वो own use बन जाता है. This means that it falls outside IFRS 9 and so recognition of a derivative is incorrect. The contract is an executory contract. Executory contracts are not initially recognized in the financial statements unless they are onerous contracts, in which case a provision is recognized or a provision is इन्होंने यहाँ पे required बोला है. This particular contract is likely to be onerous because wheat prices may rise again. Moreover, the the finished goods which the wheat forms a part of will be sold at a profit. As such, no provision is required. The contract will therefore remain unrecognized until Gustoso company takes delivery of the wheat. A derivative liability should be derecognized, meaning that profits will increase by 0.5 मिलियन। देखो यहाँ पर 0.5 मिलियन के जो प्रॉफिट्स है वो इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं, वो ठीक है। लेकिन इन दिस केस ऊपर हमने यहाँ पे क्या बोला कि दिस विल इंक्रीज द प्रॉफिट्स बाय सेम अमाउंट। तो ये जो है ना, ये मैंने शायद गलत बोला है, बिकॉज अगर हम प्रोविजन को डीरेकग्नाइज कर रहे हैं तो भी अपने को वहां पे वो क्या वो रीट्रेनिंग कॉस्ट ऑफ अपने को पीएनएल में ही डालना है। सो ये प्रॉफिट नहीं बढ़ता, उससे प्रॉफिट सेम रहता है। ये हो सकता है। Ethical implications. The users of GUSTOSO companies' financial statements, such as banks and shareholders, trust accountants and rely on them to faithfully representation to faithfully represent the effects of companies' transactions. IS1 presentation of financial statements makes it clear that this will be obtained when accounting standards are correctly applied. तो ये देखो, errors made by GUSTOSO company in respect of provision and contract overstate liabilities and understate profits. The error in the statement of cash flows increased cash flows from operating activities. It is possible that it is possible that these are unintentional errors. However, incentives exist to depart from particular IFRS and IAS standards, most notably the bonus scheme. The bonus target is to in 2017 has been exceeded, एंड सो डायरेक्टर्स, ये देखो अभी ये जो बोनस टारगेट है, ये 2017 में पीरियड एक्सीडेड द प्री डिटरमाइंड टारगेट। तो ये 2017 में तो एक्सीड हो चुका है ऑलरेडी, मतलब हमारे करंट ईयर में। तो ये लोग शायद ऐसा ट्राई कर रहे होंगे कि ये सारी चीजों को नेक्स्ट ईयर दिखा के, नेक्स्ट ईयर के अपन प्रॉफिट्स मैनिपुलेट कर दे, तो अब अपने को बोनस स्कीम नेक्स्ट ईयर भी मिलेगी। So the finance director may be attempting to shift excess profits into the next year in order to increase the chance of meeting 2018's bonus target. In this respect, the finance director has a clear self-interest threat to objectivity and may be in breach of ACCA Code of Ethics and Conduct. The accountant is correct to challenge the finance director and has an ethical responsibility to do so. Despite the fact that finance director is acting in an intimidating manner, the accountant should explain the technical issues to the director. If the director refuses to comply with the accounting standards, then it would be appropriate to discuss the matter with the other directors and seek professional advice from ACCA. Legal advice should be considered if necessary. Accountant should keep the record. हाँ, ये वाला भी बहुत अच्छा लाइन होता है कि accountant should keep the record of the conversations and actions. Resignation should be considered if matters cannot be satisfactorily resolved. तो एक और एक लाइन वो जो मैंने बोला था ना कि वो स्टैंडर्ड कंक्लूजन का एक रहता है एथिक्स में, उसमें ये एक और लाइन जोड़ देना कि अकाउंटेंट शुड कीप रिकॉर्ड ऑफ द कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड एक्शंस। ये बस एक लास्ट लाइन जोड़ देना। थैंक यू सो मच, बाय।